To put overhead?
No, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't get it to him.
All right, and the reason that I had requested this is just to provide information, neither for nor against, just to provide some information. When the Association of Counties, which is whom we receive our health insurance from, and they do an excellent job of providing us with great benefits at a very good cost. When they send us that information for renewal each year, they provide different plans with different schedules of benefits. And what we had received in our package only showed one plan. And so I met with Linda and the judge on Friday and asked that we could have one of the other plans that was also a possibility for renewal. Now, currently, we have a plan that's been in effect for what? Do you think maybe 6, 7 years?
Probably at least, yes.
Okay. And that plan, as I said, is a very good plan. The employees have done a good job of, I think, keeping themselves fairly healthy. So there haven't been increases until this year. We got about a 10% increase, but over the last several years, it's been a very good record of employee usage. So what we currently have, an office visit is $25. A specialist visit is $35. These are the copays. Emergency room is $100. The RX plan in the different tiers are $10, $30, and $50. Our deductible is $500 in plan or $750 out of plan. And the maximum out-of-pocket coinsurance that an employee in plan would have to spend is $2,500. When we received the 9 to 10% increase this year, if we stay with that plan, then we have options of changing what the employee's monthly contribution is as an offset to the county's increase, or we have the option of also going to a different plan. The different plan, I don't want to make everybody's head spin, but the different plan has a change in the benefits in that instead of the deductible for the individual being $500, it would go to $1,000. Linda, correct me if I make a mistake on this. And instead of the maximum out-of-pocket expense of $2,500, it would go to $3,000. Everything else would stay the same. The copays would stay the same for office visit, specialist, emergency room, and the copay on medical prescription drugs would stay the same. However, if we stay with the current plan, the total amount for health insurance per month per employee is $710.38. If we switch to the other plan, it's a 6% increase, and it would be $689.32. So that's what this spreadsheet shows. A, B, and C options are all for the same plan that we currently have. The only change is what the employee's monthly contribution would be. Option A, there would be no change. It would be $45. Option B, the employees would see the same rate of increase that the county received relative to the total. And so their contribution would be $108.40. Or option C, only half of the rate increase would be passed on to the employees. So their monthly contribution, 4.5% increase, they would go to pay $76.70 a month for the employee only. If we switch to the other plan, which is basically the same with the exception of the deductible per person and the out-of-pocket maximum, the increase to the county is 6%. And then if we one of the proposed is that we would then charge the employees $50, which would be a $5 increase from what they're currently paying. But yes, there's a reduction, slight reduction in the schedule of benefits. So that is what. And again, that would be $1,000 deductible. And what would be the overall? 3,000 out of pocket in network. Those are both in network because it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we're very fortunate. I think all of the providers in town take Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Well, the employees seem to be pretty comfortable with our current plan, as I understand it. Have there been any complaints or anything like that what might want us to change it?
That might be a question for Linda.
Linda, have the employees been polled as to what they might want to do, or are these just things we're going to consider? Or,
No,
I haven't heard any complaints.
Last Commissioners Court, the court determined to form a benefit committee. We have formed that committee, and our first meeting is today at 2:00.
Okay.
So no, we have not had a chance the committee has not met. The committee hasn't discussed any of these options or changes. All of this came about pretty quick, so.
Well, my suggestion then would be that we not consider anything right now until we've heard from the benefits committee.
Well, we will have to make a determination as to what plan we're going to go with this year, because
By when?
this is due by June 30th, back to TAC in order
Oh, we have
to,
another. court
we have
meeting
one more
now.
Commissioners Court, yes.
Well, I would suggest that we take these and study them, because this is a lot of information to get 3 minutes before the meeting. And so that would be my thought would be that we put this back on the agenda for action at the next meeting for a decision to be made on A, B, C, or D.
Okay.
But that we get because I talk to a lot of employees, and I haven't heard anybody say anything. Nobody wants a deductible. Everybody like that zero deductible, but they understand that the cost is just enormous. And my thought at this point would be stay where we are, because it's working.
Actually, the idea to table it until after your pension or your benefits committee meets, since we still would have time to make a decision and get it to TAC, is a very good one.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going to take action. This is just a workshop, but
Right.
when we get into the actual commissioner's court,
We could take, yes.
that's a possibility.
We do have one more court before.
And I didn't realize that, but
Yeah.
we could digest this information.
And it doesn't require any action. That's just my thought, is that we just wait.
Okay. Any other questions or?
My only thoughts on this, and it's just my thoughts, is one of the benefits of working for Aransas County is the low deductible, $500. That's low in comparison to a lot of other deductibles, but it is a benefit to the county employees. And of course, they may never use it, God help, they don't want to use it. But it's 500 or 1,000 at a time when you are very vulnerable, and it's a difference to me anyway.
Well,
That
if you
being
would,
said,
I'm sorry, I
Go
thought
ahead.
you were done. If you would like, since the committee will meet this afternoon, we could see if we could get some feedback from the
That'd be good.
employees before the next Commissioners Court.
That'd be good.
Good idea. I think we've been talking about ways to retain employees. To me, that's your number one
Yeah,
reason that a lot of people work for the county.
it
So
is,
many
it
other
is.
businesses don't have insurance.
Yeah, because we already know, a number of department heads have come forward and said they're having difficulties retaining because they feel that our salaries are lower than what other entities in the area pay. Our benefits are very good. It is something that does draw employees to come
Well,
and stay.
We looked at this, 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, and there was a pretty good, not a big outcry, but there were several people that several employees that expressed their thing is, why mess up a good thing?
Yeah.
And because number one, I don't anticipate any huge raises during budget time. But to increase their deductible, I think at any time is, I just, anyway, I think we need the feedback.
Okay. I can do that.
I agree that the county has excellent insurance, probably better than any other major employer in this region,
Mhm.
and certainly one of the lowest deductibles available. And that's a good thing. So I appreciate the feedback. I would like to mention something else if we're done talking about these options right now.
Okay.
But it also impacts health insurance. And since I think, Jack, you mentioned we'll be talking about the budget here for the next few months. About 3 years ago, the handbook was changed. And in the handbook, the addition was made that health insurance would be provided to the option to purchase health insurance. Let me correct that. Would be provided to retired employees. And what it states in the handbook is that retired county employees with a combined age of and service tenure of 75 years will be allowed to purchase for the employee and or their spouse and at the employee's expense medical insurance from the county's insurance carrier at the same rate as if still employed by the county until each respectively turns 65 or otherwise becomes eligible for Medicare. This was added after I had left the county. And on its face, that might seem like it would not be a huge issue. But what this means is that a person could be, say, a teacher or have worked for a city, some other city or some other county, comes to Aransas County, works here maybe 6 months, but their service tenure at the other employer that TCDRS recognizes can transfer over to get them fully vested in TCDRS. In which case, this combined age and service tenure of 75 years will now be met. So that person can then leave the county, work a few months here, leave the county, and stay on our health insurance until that person turns 65. I know of at least one example where a person did come to the county, worked for maybe 2 years, retired, and is still on our insurance and has been on our insurance as a retiree, I believe, longer than the person served as an employee at the county. Now, if that's something that we want to do, that's fine. But currently, we have 14 people who are retired on our insurance. And the cost to the county at that rate is over $100,000 a year. So if we want to offer that, that's fine. Just know what the cost is and that we are offering this to people, not who have necessarily worked for Aransas County for 25, 30, 35 years. They just have enough service time that they can qualify.
That's something that we certainly can look into.
Thank you.
Almost time for 9 o'clock meeting, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. 9 o'clock, I call let's do the pledge. Let's.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please join me. Father God, we are thankful again for the blessings of this day. And as we begin this meeting in the invocation, we invite your presence here. We know that as we go through life, we find many forks in the roads, and we're trying to decide which way to go to serve the citizens of this county. And in ourselves, we don't have the wisdom always to make that decision, but we know you do. And we know that you love us and we know that you care about this county and all the citizens. So we ask your presence here today that you give the wisdom to these commissioners that they can use to make the decisions that benefit all the citizens of this county. We trust you, Lord, and we place it in your hands, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good morning. We do have let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Here.
Commissioner Casterline,
Here.
Commissioner Russo,
Here.
Commissioner Lala. Here. Judge Mills.
Here. Do we have a quorum? I'd like to strike item 12 on the agenda. We haven't heard back from the navigation district. That's right. And the citizens to be heard. Anybody sign up? Okay, we do have a presentation this morning from Hydra USA regarding flood prevention, mitigation, and water diversion. And they're here, 3 of them in force. So you have about 15 minutes and then I'm going to cut you off. And you need to be on, somebody needs to be here on the microphone. State your name, please.
Good morning, John Novotny with Hydra USA. I believe we have our CEO is on Zoom. The Zoom invitation was sent to him, and I know he's in Alberta, Canada, which is where the Hydra International headquarters are, and he's trying to set up.
Sir, would you introduce? who
Hydra
else is
USA
with
is in Canada.
Hydra International is in Canada. Hydra USA is based in Longview, Texas. Yes,
Okay.
sir. The Senior Vice President of Operations for Hydra USA, Joey Fungi, and our Executive Director of Sales, Vicky Leach.
And you are,
John Novotny, Executive Technical Director,
how do you spell the last name, please?
Novotny.
And the person on Zoom?
Dean Sininger, Sininger, I believe.
And if there are people who did not have the opportunity to sign in on the table outside as you leave, that you will please sign in. That would be great. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Can we see if is Dean?
Is he on there?
Hello,
Oh, there he is.
Morning.
good morning, everyone.
Wait a minute, we're trying to get you in here a little stronger.
There he is.
There you are. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Go ahead.
All right, so we are Hydra USA. We are a flood prevention and flood mitigation company. We have been working up in Canada for the last 4 years, helping several communities with their flood protection. And basically, the service that we offer, we take properties that have had flooding issues in the past, have historical data, and we work to bring the state-of-the-art equipment to you so that you can protect your property. We will conduct a engineered assessment and get proper elevations, get to know the ground area and how everything works in your area. And then we go ahead and put together a package that can be deployed at any time for emergency situations. We also follow up with taking care of your equipment and making sure it's maintained and ready to go for the next time you have any sort of an event. Over the years, sandbags have always been the go-to. Luckily, in the last few years, there's been a lot of new equipment developed here in North America and over in the UK areas that basically put sandbags on the back burner because there's just so many better methods we can use. We also work with FEMA, where we can find grant money for you and get this taken care of under declarations. And really, in order to get the process started, we present to you the service that we provide. We would like to get set up on a contract with you. And then we just basically start working on your past history and areas that cause trouble for you and get everything set up properly. I believe John and Joey and Vicky, do we have our video available, guys?
We do have our video, yes, sir. Not sure how to transfer the media.
Just recently up here in Canada, we helped a community called Fort McMurray that it has two rivers that join just in the outside of the city. Last year, they experienced an ice jam that basically poured both rivers into the downtown area of their city, causing $238 million worth of damage, displacing many residents, making some homes completely inoperable and having to be removed. We were able to they actually called us in after the flood happened because nobody expected it. We were able to get our boots on the ground and really take a look at what they had going on. And then we worked for the remainder of the year to fulfill some tenders that they put out in order to provide protection. We ended up putting up over 100 dams, all in sequence. Our triple dam system, which is a highly reusable setup that is water filled and basically overlaps. Each dam carries on and provides a large wall. Now, this wall wasn't just put in there on a guess. We had actually did a full engineered assessment of the property, which resulted in getting the proper equipment set up in the proper areas. A big part of this is rapid deployment. So we have hydraulic automated equipment that we use so that we can get in there and get everything set up before the storms or before the rivers break up or whatever the case may be. The biggest part of all of this is being proactive and being able to get everything set up prior to a storm coming in so that everybody can have the peace of mind and get to safety and stay out of the areas once we're all set up. Here's our...
Do you see the screen, the presentation?
Yeah, you betcha. So, so what we have here, just a quick overview on the front page. You'll see in the bottom left-hand corner. Those are two of our products, Muscle Wall and Triple Dam, which we combine quite often because in some areas we'll have debris and high wave and turbulence areas to work in. So some products are more set up for different conditions, and that's really what we do. We're not here just promoting one product. We really analyze your situation so that we can make sure the proper stuff is in place. We also provide crews that will monitor this and continue everything throughout the whole process. The Fort McMurray project I mentioned to you, we were there for 2.5 months. That was from setup to monitoring the rivers to make sure that everybody was safe, to the final action of watching the water as we were holding it back. And at the end of it, removing the equipment, which was purchased by the city and government funded. We proceed to maintain, clean, patch, and store everything properly so that it's ready to go for emergency deployment on the next event. We're currently also looking at the flood mitigation possibilities, past damage, cleanups, anything we can do to help prevent flooding, with whether it be major rain events, hurricanes, spring runoff, any of those kind of things. We take everything into account and work with it. We're going to play a quick video here that gives you a nice overview of the Fort McMurray project. Where can we hit play? Can you hit play there, guys? Yeah. And we'll just quickly go, just a quick view of this. Can you make it big? So there's our command center, which basically is set up in the area so that we can keep an eye on all operations.
Again, go.
Uh-oh. Maybe try that again. There we go.
These are the triple dams that Dean was talking about in Fort McMurray, this city in Alberta.
Let's stand at the mic, please.
So the video is showing an aerial footage of Fort McMurray in Alberta, which is the town that Dean was referencing that hired Hydra to protect them from surging floodwaters due to the ice breakups. And so we actually surrounded the entire town with our triple dams. And this is a service that we'd like to provide to Aransas County. Our understanding is once we're under contract and we have our equipment located here in Aransas County, within 6 days of a named storm being formed in or outside the Gulf, we can be here and be set up. So basically, we're looking at preventative measures to prevent flooding instead of having large insurance bills to come and recover.
Y'all realize that Aransas County is 2 peninsulas, right?
Yes, sir.
So we got a lot of water around us.
Yes, sir. So you might have to, prioritization may be a key, but just to understand that this town suffered $285 million in flooding due to the ice breakup that we have then been able to prevent since at about 1% preventative cost versus the cost of recovery.
You say was covered by FEMA?
That's our big goal, right? So to realize what projects are needed by the county and then help you guys with the grants to get FEMA money to cover, anywhere between 75 and 85% of the cost of the project.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
so you mentioned the project in Fort McMurray.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have one that is here in the States or specifically in Texas?
Not yet.
Not yet? Is this a fairly new company?
Yes, ma'am. Just recently formed.
Okay,
The
but
US
before you,
U.S. division's recently formed. Hydra International has been in Alberta for over 4 years.
all right, but you formerly were with Tetra? Is that what this
Yes, ma'am.
booklet said?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're in very flat county, so when it floods here, it tends to flood everywhere all at once, more or less equally. Have you got any experience with trying to cover things from completely encircling areas that are where the water's coming from all directions?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, flat makes it easier.
And one of the other advantages is we don't just have triple dam technology. We have up to 30 different technologies available. So there may be a situation where triple dam works good here, muscle wall may work good in another section of the same event. So we've got all these different technologies. What we do is we get engineers to actually figure out, okay, these are the water conditions. This is what we're expecting. This is the height. This is the force that the water is going to have. And we go ahead and come up with customized solutions. So it's not just one tool fits all. It's what's best for this particular scenario.
We currently have contracts with companies to come in and do debris cleanup and stuff. Been very, very successful with that. So is that something that y'all would like to contract with us concerning, annual fees and things like that?
So debris cleanup is absolutely something that we'd be willing to bid on and want to do as well, but we really focus on mitigation. If you can,
but the focus of it, this is very interesting and everything, but this, I think that, I don't know how much longer your presentation is, but I think that's something, if the court is interested, I think I'll schedule a workshop.
yes, sir.
And that way we're not limited to what we can do.
Okay.
And we can actually come set up a demonstration. So we can, inflate this stuff. You can see what it does.
Put your hands on it.
Yeah.
I
it's
believe,
operating test-
I believe TxDOT used the bladder system to protect the bypass after Hurricane Harvey. They had bladders after keep the water from going across the bypass.
Yes, sir.
And it worked very well.
I've actually met with David, the engineer.
Reminds me.
Get closer to the mic, please. And your name?
Vicki Leach. So I've actually had a meeting with David, the county engineer, and
David,
he's very on board as well. That's why he wanted us to present to you guys.
Okay.
We have, like the guys have said, we have so many different things that we can use. We have different walls, we have different barriers that even pop up on the ocean side. We can set a demo day. Come out, have a lunch.
I would suggest
I
that you
think
get
that'd
with
be
the
great
judge
just to do with.
and let him call a workshop where we can look at everything.
Absolutely.
Sure.
We'll get it set up.
All right. Any other,
Thank y'all for coming.
any other presentation?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. You wanted,
Just want to say thank you very much for your time.
well,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you.
And you're only 2 minutes over time.
Okay,
Appreciate it. The consent agenda, I understand.
I tried to send in an email last week asking for items 3 and 4 to come off so we could just ask a couple of questions, but I was having email trouble and I'm not sure if my email actually made it through.
We can pull them now, yeah.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind pulling that.
Item 3 and item 4. So
I move to approve item number 2 on the consent agenda. Discuss, approve, or disapprove the minutes from the May 24th regular meeting, and I move we approve them.
Second.
motion made and seconded, Commissioner Castleline, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 3 is something I put on there, and I like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Matthew Grimes as a Francis County's fire marshal for a period of 2 years ending June 14th, 2023. This comes about when,
Second.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and second, this came about when Chief McLester said, I'm tired of that job. Can you find somebody that wants it? Well, it took a while and finally Mr. Grimes stepped up and said he wanted it. And then it took me a while to get him on finally get him on the agenda. So that's my presentation. Mr. Grimes is here.
Could we just have a little information about his background?
He's fire chief of Rockport. Volunteer
Okay,
Fire
sorry.
Department.
I just am not familiar with you. I'm sorry.
Hello,
Hi.
my name's Matthew Grimes. I've been with the Rockport Fire Department going on 15 years. I am the current fire chief of the department. I've been assistant chief, been captain. I've held officer positions for probably the last 5 to 6 years. Training wise, I am firefighter 1, firefighter 2, which is the same as being paid without taking the state test. I have fire investigation 1, 2, and the TCFP completer course through TEACS, along with a wide array of other certs.
Does that training include, I've always heard, and I'm not even sure if this is accurate, that we don't do local fire investigations much, that we tend to call in state people.
We don't
when
do arson investigation. We call in the state.
Okay. So would you also be doing arson investigations, and have you gotten any training in that, or are you planning to get some? Or is that really part of what you're thinking of doing?
As of now, I don't have my peace officer's license, so I can't do arson investigation. I can do fire investigation, and Rick McLester, the current fire marshal, goes hand in hand with the state fire marshal. They complement each other, put it that way.
So when we need an arson investigation, we call in the state marshal?
Yeah, we call
Okay.
it state.
And we keep doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And they have better resources. They have a lot more resources to be able to get further in depth on the situation.
I've had several conversations with different folks that highly recommend Chief Grimes to fill this position. The question that I had was, in order to be fire marshal, do you have to be able to write tickets? In order to write tickets, do you have to be a certified police officer?
No. With that being said, I reached out to Miss Oster and straight out asked her if she would accept citations from me not having my peace officer's license, and she said that she would accept them.
Okay.
With that being said, I've also been in code enforcement with the city, so some of that citation stuff and dealing with the court system, I already have a hand in.
So, Ms. Oster, would you say that he meets all the qualifications to be?
That's
county
not
fire
Osteen.
marshal? Osteen, I'm sorry.
With Miss Oster's office, and I did review the statutory requirements, and it does appear that he meets all of the requirements necessary to fill this post.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Grimes, say thank you for being willing to accept this position.
Absolutely.
That's a
Thank you.
job, too.
Yeah, really.
And
That's a joke,
Now,
by
do
the way.
you work in county or do you work out of county?
I work out of county. I work for Malik. doing utility services. That's my full-time job. I work Monday through Thursday. They are very flexible when it comes to my hours. They're able to let me take off today to come here to meet everybody and just show a presence.
So if we have something that you really need to come and look at, are you going to look at all major fires, or are you going to work on complaints from I mean, how are you going to know which ones you need to go to and which ones you don't?
Well, to be honest,
That's always been a question.
to be honest, I'm one of the top 3 responders in the department, so I'm already at the call.
Okay,
So 90% of the time I'm going to be there already. And instead of having to call an officer or Big Rick or whoever I would have to call, I would already be there and be able to see more of it firsthand, and have more experience than an officer that has no fire training.
How do you manage to be top 3 responder if you work out of county? Do you take off of work all the time, or you just you handle all the overnight calls?
It just happens that the calls, fall when I'm off.
Yeah.
I mean, we run, 500 to 700 calls a year. So with a large number like that, I'm able to make
A whole lot that are.
a whole lot and be ranked high.
Any further discussion?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Already did.
We've already moved and seconded, so we're just
Oh,
ready
I'm
to
sorry,
vote.
excuse me.
Any further discussion? If not, a roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. And thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you did.
All right, item number 4, I also put on, as you know, Cedar Bayou they're working on reopening it. And in the last week, we've had people camping in the workspace. And when asked to move, they got belligerent and said, that this is public property. We don't have to do anything. We can stay here. And then a few days later, we had a seaplane land in Cedar Bayou and taxi it up to the dredge and look around and then take off. I would like, through the sheriff's office, contacted Texas Parks and Wildlife, and they said we could do this and give it some teeth, the signs that are around Cedar Bayou in the work area, keep people from getting into a dangerous area. As you know, well, you might not know, but about 50 years ago, quite a few people drowned on Rockport Beach when they were doing some dredging, and a couple of people fell into the hole, the dredge hole. Other people went after them, and it ended up 10 people drowned. So trying to prevent this, that's why it's on. Any discussion?
So just to clarify, this is intended to be strictly temporary. It's just while the dredging is happening.
Right.
And how, I don't have a real feel for how long dredging does it
They
last
have
for
to be
months?
out of there by November 1st.
Okay, so next half a year or so.
Yeah.
We have to
and
work
it's only-
around the hooping crane.
And it's a prescribed area that there will be a map
Right.
around where the work area is. The rest of the beach
Okay.
will be open.
Do you need a motion to approve? I move that we approve the issuance of order O-07-2021 from Aransas County Commissioners Court to prohibit entering or remaining in or on the waters of Cedar Bayou and the lands nearby, including Vincent Slough, while dredging activities are underway, and sets forth provisions related to trespassing upon public lands and waters, designating the area jurisdiction, and deeming the violation or failure to comply with this order to be a Class C Texas Parks and Wildlife misdemeanor and/or a misdemeanor subject to punishment under Section 30.05 of the Texas Penal Code, providing penalties for violations and providing for publication. And the effective date will be what? Today? Today.
Second.
I'm a little concerned that the wording of this doesn't include the whole place and not just designated areas. We thought it was.
Ms. Osteen?
I couldn't hear what you said. Commissioner
I said,
Castro.
I'm kind of concerned that the wording might include a larger area than what we had talked about when this first came up.
Might include or might need to include.
By the way.
You're worried that it's too-
seconded by Commissioner Laubach, right?
Yeah, I did
Yes.
second. Commissioner Castelline, were you saying you're worried that it's too big or too little?
It seems to be like it might be interpreted to include the whole of Cedar Bayou.
Too big.
Slough.
No,
It only includes the work area, and we do have a map that's been
Okay.
provided to us from the engineer.
and there will be signs around that area.
Okay,
Yes, and we
I-
would be posting where
Yeah.
the restricted area is.
that was my understanding, but it just seems not exactly to say that to me.
It's really hard to put into words what they gave me in this giant map.
Well, it does
But we
say
will make
designating
sure-
the area of jurisdiction.
I'm sorry?
It does say designating the area of jurisdiction.
Which is the area that's signed. All right. Further discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. That being done, we'll go to item number 5 under county reports.
I move that we certify the cybersecurity training completion report as required by HB 3834 and authorizing the county judge to sign and submit a completion report to the Texas Department of Information Resources.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
I just have one
Oh,
question.
all right.
Sorry.
Discussion.
Are, Colin, are we in complete compliance?
We are.
Great. Thank you.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 5 or 6.
I move that we authorize the county judge to sign a ground lease agreement between Aransas County and Another Chance RFT for a 10-foot by 10-foot area of land adjacent to the animal control building in exchange for Another Chance RFT's commitment to continue to provide services to needy dogs for an initial term of 5 years with a possible 5-year renewal.
I'll second that.
Motion made and
I-
seconded. Commissioner Cheney.
I have just one question. On item number 2, the term, in the agreement, it says May 2021. Will that be changed to June since we're now in June?
No, we can make the effective date go back. The building's already been delivered,
Okay.
and that's why I worded it this way. So what we'll do is in the very first paragraph, that should be changed. That will not be changed. It'll stay, the blank day of June is today that it was approved, and then the effective date will be the date it was actually delivered.
All right.
They got the building there as fast as they could, and it was faster than I could make my wheels turn to get this to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 7.
I move to approve allowing the Aransas County Airport to host a fly-in event on Saturday, July 10th, 2021, that will be open to the public with free admission and accepting donations to benefit the Aransas County 4-H Club, with additional donations anticipated to cover any costs incurred by the airport.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner Castelline. Would you like to come up and give us a little?
Good morning. A few weeks back, I had the opportunity to talk to an FAA safety team member, Ryan Newman. Mr. Newman said that they like to, when able, get in front of new flight schools. We certainly have a new flight school at our airport, and I got with the flight school as well. That's something that they're receptive to. So it checks Mr. Newman's box in that it allows them to get in front of the flight school about FAA safety, about the new face of the FAA with respect to success and failure rates for check rides. Lately, there's been a lot of the check rides have had a high failure rate statewide or US wide, but it's worth mentioning that Axe Aviation has had a very successful first time pass rate. So, but nevertheless, Mr. Newman said that he would be interested in coming down to speak to them and any other pilots that we could get in attendance for that. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity for us to host a fly-in and get him in front of as many pilots as possible. And he agreed to give us 2 presentations, one in the morning and one in the afternoon on July 10th. It'd be a one-day event. And Commissioner Cheney had mentioned that you'd like to kind of see a matrix by going forward, how we do these kind of things. And I think the ultimate goal would be to get there. I think this gets us a little closer. We've got 3 of the same sponsors, but we didn't have a 501c3 previously and still don't, or I don't at the airport, obviously, but there's a small committee helping me put this together. But we thought maybe it'd be a good idea to partner with a 501, and 4-H was receptive to that. And that could be something that going forward, that we just work out a deal with where 4-H is always there. I anticipate they'll make a couple $1,000s on this. The hot dogs will be donated. But nevertheless, it's the focus will be safety for the FAA safety team for that day. I'll have 10 volunteers, including myself. It'll be in the same spot that we had the last fly-in the middle of the pandemic on a really bad weather day that ended up, we got 35 planes showed up for that. So we anticipate could have up to 60 aircraft. We got plenty of room for it. I'll have plenty of volunteers for it. So just ask for your approval to, and I'll buy an event policy, and I expect a donation for that same amount to be, that we'll put on the next Commissioners Court agenda whenever I get that donation to be able to accept that. So it'll be budget neutral, but it'll cost us something up front.
Well, thank you. I think it's a great event for the pilots. They're flying in and out of Aransas County and other places. And also it's a great event for the 4-H club to make some money. So with that said, any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lala.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 8.
I move to approve the purchase of and acceptance of a permanent, non-exclusive 50-foot wide drainage easement from Shelley and Terry Hunsucker, comprised of 1.510 acres of land out of 13.09 acre tract out of the J. Friesen Survey A65, being described as Tract 1 and Tract 2 in the deed of record under the county clerk's file number 358032 in the official records of Aransas County, and authorize the payment of $20,000 from the 2011 Capital Improvements Project Fund, and authorize the county judge to execute necessary documents.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner Cheney, any discussion? Roll call.
No, I have discussion. David, do you want to explain why we are reconsidering this item that we discussed and voted on, I think, 2 weeks ago?
Right. This was the same easement that was on the last Commissioner's Court. The version of the easement that was in the Commissioner's packet was a outdated version. And when we realized that, we had to redo it, but it's the same easement.
The notes in our packet say that there were just a few red lines that the opposing counsel, the counsel for the grantors came up with, and that we'd already approved them. Or were they just minor changes? What kind of changes were they?
Legal
They
stuff.
were fairly minor changes, but they were significant enough for us to feel like the right thing to do would be to bring it back to Commissioner's Court.
No, I'm not disputing that. I just mean, you're telling us those are ministerial changes, things we didn't really care about that much. We had already approved them and they were
We
fine.
had already, well, my office had already blessed it.
Right.
And found it to be acceptable.
Okay.
And it was required by the Hunsucker. So
Yeah.
I
The
just got
terms are the same.
one real quick question.
Sure.
What's the difference between item 8 and item 9?
They're two different easements. They're the same property owner at a different location. Item 9 is actually along McLester Road, which is really increasing the right of way for that road.
Oh, okay.
And they just threw that one in kind of as a freebie. So it's separate.
Well, it helps with the county getting the right of way, and I think this is
I just mean all the price is allocated to one and not the other. So more or less getting one is a part of the package deal.
right.
When this was discussed 2 weeks ago, I had a concern about the large oak trees that were there. I just want to read something from the county's ordinance 1-2010 restricting clear cutting of live oak trees. The county states in its purpose and scope that windswept oak trees are considered a special natural resource to this area, shaped and created by forces of nature, and are irreplaceable. Windswept trees provide character and beauty to this community, and the special preservation of such trees benefits the community. The reason that I opposed this last time, and I will vote against it again, is because in a conversation with Mr. Reed about the easement, and where it would be located on this property, I was informed that there would be, I believe, 4 large oak trees that would be taken down. And I still have that concern. I just wanted to read that for the record. Thank you.
I don't believe you'll find any windswept trees like in the article that you read on that property.
Fine.
Okay.
Has the tree committee looked at that?
No, I mean, this,
I just was wondering.
Is it,
Not a
so
department
is it covered by the tree ordinance? Don't they have to sign off on it?
we are exempt from that being a county right of way.
And the right, the easement is where the property owner wants it to be.
Right.
It's a-
And also the county is paying to replace trees.
That's
That's part of
a portion of the $20,000.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellani.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
No.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. 4, 1 against. Item number 9.
I move to approve the purchase of and acceptance of a permanent, non-exclusive public access and drainage easement from Shelley and Terry S. Hunstucker, comprised of 0.3566 acres of land out of a 13.09 acre tract of the J. Reason Survey A65 being described as tract 1 and 2 in a deed recorded under the county clerk's file number 358032 in the official public records of Aransas County, Texas, and authorize the payment of $10 from the 2011 Capital Improvements Projects Funds and authorize the county judge to execute necessary documents.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. Commissioner Cheney, any discussion?
And I believe this is, will accomplish widening the right of way on McLester for some portion of it. So,
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellani,
aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 10.
I move to authorize the award of an environmental services contract to Phase Engineering, Inc. in the amount of 2,000, sorry, are we not on 10?
10.
10's right, isn't it? Sorry. $2,200 for the proposed medical facilities site located at 400 Enterprise Drive, Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Project 20-065-098-C270, and authorizing the county judge to execute all necessary documents.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Castellane.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this for John? Probably. I just was curious, who served on the evaluation committee?
Oh, I don't know that answer.
I did for one, and I think Mike and Valerie.
Thank you.
Any other?
Do we don't yet know we don't have any results yet from the RFP, I guess. So this is just an all-purpose environmental evaluation of the site, no matter who's going to build there.
It's just strictly part of the project.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellani,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 11.
I move to approve authorizing county judge to provide a letter of support and matching funds in the amount of $50,000 from Aransas County Go Mesa funds for a Coastal Erosion Planning and Response Act grant, Cycle 12, through the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for preliminary engineering under the United States Corps of Engineer permit for shoreline restoration on Newcomb Point property.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. I'd add, we're joining with Texas Parks and Wildlife on this particular piece of property because one, it's in Aransas County and needs protection, and two, they gave us quite a lot of help with Cedar Bayou. No use upsetting them.
Yes, and it's also part of our strategic coastal resiliency plan that with the Coastal Resiliency Committee put together. And it's also on the GLO Coastal Resiliency Master Plan. So this project is important to a lot of folks.
And it isn't all of Newcomb's Point. It is just the western
It's going from the point itself is under the control of Parks and Wildlife. So it's going from that property around the point and then down to, down in front of the Coastal Bend Basin Estuaries property, which is right there. Guys, I'm having a Holiday Beach Park property. But so it's just going to cover and protect that part.
Oh, John, I'm looking at the agenda and it says permit for shoreline restoration or Newcomb Point property. Should that be on?
Newcomb Point.
Or for,
in the water. What we're
Okay.
building.
he's just
It's
saying the
all in
word,
water.
the word or.
It
should be on.
Not or.
There's going to be no shoreline because there's
Okay.
existing marshes already.
Okay. And the second thing is, how much do we have left in Go Mesa?
Plenty. I don't know the exact amount, but
Okay.
we have plenty of
We
money.
can still do a lot more stuff.
Yes.
with it. Okay.
Now, I quizzed Mr. Strothman about this last week because I remembered that we applied to the GLO last fall for our own project on this point. But my understanding is GLO turned us down in the first round. And so
First round, yes.
the thinking now is that we're going to give some help to the Texas Parks and Wildlife, but they're probably going to be the leaders in looking for other funding for this.
Yeah, we'll cooperate with them.
John, my question is just on the second page, it just says that the Texas Parks and Wildlife and GLO will seek additional Go Mesa funds for implementation of phase 3. Is that fairly likely? Are we concerned? Because that's the construction phase, isn't it?
Right, if they continue on with the CAPRA grant, then there'll be final engineering design work that has to be done. Between the CAPRA grant and then the GLO will cover all the construction costs.
Okay,
And then we would just help them with getting engineering done, the final engineering.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Cashmore.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lala.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. As stated before, I struck item 12, when and if we get something back from Navigation District, we'll put it back on. Item 13,
I move to approve granting a license to AEP Texas Inc. for a term of 5 years, which will allow AEP Texas Inc. to utilize portions of Aransas County Airport as a staging area in case of a natural disaster or other emergency.
Second.
motion made and seconded twice, and I'll second it a third time. AEP, as we all know and witnessed after Hurricane Harvey, does a fantastic job for Aransas County and its citizens. So how could we say anything but yes, please? So, that being said, any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye, and thank you.
Commissioner Cashmore.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lala.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye.
Thanks.
Unanimous, and thank you.
Getting right on it for us.
You, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, it was very important to get it done, and thanks again to Jen for vetting this agreement for us. But it's worth mentioning, hurricane season being upon us as it is, we needed to get this squared away. We've gone through 3 previous hurricane seasons and not had this.
And we have an invest right now.
And that's correct. But it's also worth mentioning that, the 250 trucks that were using John Wendell Road every single day for nearly a month, it did extensive damage to the road. The road was not in great shape to begin with, but it didn't do it any good. AEP wrote the county a check. David got that check for $80,000 afterward to rebuild John Wendell Road. And then they paid for another additional $8,000 worth of dirt work at the airport to remediate where the ground had been disrupted on the airfield itself, just from the stacking of telephone poles, that sort of thing.
Well, see if you can get them back next week then.
Well, having an electric company and being an electrician for almost 50 years, I can tell you AEP not only does good things with the county, but their professionalism is beyond compare.
All right,
And I
Commissioner
really
Cheney,
think
Mr.
Here, here.
Keith's here. Let's don't blow too much smoke.
And it's worth mentioning, it is also worth mentioning at the airport, under this agreement, the airport stays open for business.
Yeah.
If we can get it open for business.
Mhm.
All right. Did we do roll call?
We did. It was unanimous.
All right,
Yeah, I don't-
thank you.
I don't think we did. I think we just seconded it. We all seconded
we
it.
did.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Item 14,
I move to approve the May 2021 Indigent Healthcare Report.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Castleline. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye.
If
Item
anybody
15,
wants to do a roll call on 13 again, we can.
That's okay. If you remember it, I'm sure you're right.
item 15.
I move to approve authorizing county judge to sign an agreement to provide medical services for Aransas County employees and prospective employees with Rockport Physical Medical PA, Texas Professional Association, and Back in Motion LTD, DBA Hawkins Chiropractic, a Texas limited partnership to establish rates for necessary services, which include drug and alcohol testing.
Motion made.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Cheney.
Now, really, could somebody confirm me, looking at the agreement, it looks to me like this is strictly limited to pre-employee screening and then workman's comp. Is that right? This is not just kind of general services.
You don't have to come all the way if you want to use that money.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
I have just one question, and it might be the same answer as before, maybe for Jen. On the second page where it shows the effective date and term, it has a date of May 1. Will that just stay in effect? We're just approving it now in June?
Yes, that's correct.
Retroactive.
And thank you, Linda, for finding some local provider to provide this service.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. 16.
I move to table 16.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner Russo. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 17.
Move. I move to approve the refund request in an application of tax refund of overpayment in the amount of $3,123.57 to Kamara Neelam for stripes number 9391 due to an overpayment of 2020 property taxes.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Laubach. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 18.
I move to approve the county auditor Jackie Cochran's request for the creation of an additional assistant auditor position to the county auditor's department. Do I need to read the whole thing? Salary and benefits will be funded by grant administrative fees and FEMA reimbursements. The new position is necessary in order to assist with the additional workload to the county auditor's department due to ongoing accounts payable, grant, FEMA, American Rescue Plan processing, and a job description is attached.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded.
I have a question or concern. Since this position is being created primarily or solely to help with grant administration and FEMA reimbursements, I would like for the job description to show that it is for that purpose. And I could not find where that was really within that context. I know that other departments may have assistants or deputies that do different things. And then within that job description, it might note that they're the deputy, say treasurer or deputy clerk for a specific area. So this might say assistant county auditor, grant administration.
We would need to create a new, and I know it is mentioned in the job description that would be a duty that they do. They would help with them.
But there are several other duties too.
Yes, ma'am. We can create one that's just specifically for that, but we do have a lot of duties, and it may be that times that they have to fill in with something else. But their main duty would be grant administration.
We had discussed this before. And you had said that you were going to, if that's the same thing, that you're going to come to us whenever the workload had gotten to the point that you needed the help.
It
This is
has
it.
gotten there.
Yeah.
We have 24 plus grants that we're working, plus
Yeah.
several others, and that's not including the FEMA protected or project that we have now that are still going on. So we have the direct administrative costs that's almost $3 million that I have no one that has time to sit down just to claim those funds.
So there's probably not going to be much time for this employee to do anything but what they're. hired to
No,
do.
sir, it will be probably strictly,
I don't think we need
strictly-
to restrict it. I think Jackie Cochran has shown her ability to manage that position.
The packet materials mentioned that part of the reason that these grant funds have become available is that they were at one time earmarked for William Whitson, who's since left the long-term recovery program. And I remember the arrangement for Mr. Whitson being, we were going to have to front his salary and later we would be reimbursed from funds. Is that the same case for
yes,
this
ma'am,
auditor
it is the
position?
same. All of those grant funds are always reimbursable, so they are.
Whatever happened to Mr. Whitson's salary? Were we in fact reimbursed out of grant funds?
We are working on reimbursements, but there again, the FEMA reimbursements are close to $3 million, and that is the biggest reimbursements that we're looking for, and I do not have the staff to get those.
I guess I'm just asking, do we have a track record that shows that we do in fact, we're waiting in trust that these will happen?
Yes.
Do we have a track record that shows that they do follow up and we do get reimbursed?
Yes.
So Mr. Whitson's salary, are we still waiting?
We are
Is there
still waiting
progress?
because we still have to build all those spreadsheets and get all that stuff sent to FEMA, which we have not had time for.
Okay, so it's
we
still a
are-
work in progress.
Yes, ma'am. We have been receiving some reimbursements from some of the other grants, but they're so much smaller than the FEMA that it's not as noticeable. And it's slower getting that reimbursed. But once we get the FEMA done, it will be a much better return for
And
our.
you haven't run into any roadblocks. We're just waiting for the process to
No,
be
we're
finished.
just waiting for the process. We have not run into any roadblocks. It's just very, very time consuming because you have to go through all of their time cards. You have to go through all the reports on every hour that they worked on every project because you have to do each project separately.
Is this someone that you have on staff that you're going to move over to that and replace them or?
That's
almost
kind of
halfway.
basically what we're doing because we've got one girl that's kind of helped with some grants and is familiar. So I would be replacing her and moving the other girl into the grant administrator portion.
I commend the auditor's office on the job they're doing. I've been in there several times, especially this last week, and it is voluminous, to say it easily. So I'm not opposing this position. I am just asking that the job title would reflect the basic thrust of that work.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
So this is on the existing motion. So Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Well, I'm not
Do
sure.
you want to move
because
to amend then?
I approve the position. I just request that the job title be changed. So I don't know if we need to amend
I think that requires an amendment because otherwise we're about to approve it as it's
as
stated.
it is. Yeah.
So if you're moving for an amendment, I will second that amendment.
I will.
Commissioner Castleline amended it to that, to state that. All right. And it was seconded by Commissioner Cheney.
Mhm.
Let's do roll call again.
Okay, so this is on an amended motion at number 18, which would firm up the job description to reflect grant administration. I have it amended motion by Commissioner Russo and a second on the amendment by Commissioner Laubach. We're ready for roll call. Is that correct?
Oh,
I
ma'am,
believe so.
Commissioner Castleline changed his to reflect that. So Commissioner Russo's motion wasn't necessary.
All right.
Okay, I originally had the motion from Commissioner Laubach, original, not Commissioner, I had it, the original motion was Commissioner Laubach and a second by Commissioner Cheney.
I think it was
I don't,
Commissioner Castleline.
I don't think I'm the one that did the original motion.
Either. I think it was Commissioner
So
Castleline.
maybe we should start again.
I wrote down the first as Wendy, Wabach and the second as Jack Cheney as well.
Really? I read that out? Okay.
So the amended,
Let's go
One-
back to the amended Commissioner Russo.
right?
So we have a motion on the table, an amended motion by Commissioner Russo, which is number 18, but which adds the job description to reflect grant administration in a greater way.
Yes.
I
Correct?
think to
Just in
emphasize
the
it,
title,
In the title.
in the title.
Just in the title.
Motion,
Okay. And
motion.
then I have it seconded as amended by Commissioner Wallach.
All right.
okay?
Very
Suits
good.
me.
Any further discussion? Great. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Wallach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 19. Motion.
I move to approve the district clerk's office redistribution of duties to ensure cross-training of deputies with the following revised job descriptions and pay groups. The deputy district clerk, courtroom and tax administrator from group step 11-6 to group step 13-2. Chief deputy district clerk for county court at law, family law from group 11-7 to 13-3. Deputy District Clerk Bookkeeper Child Support from Group 13-15 to 16-9. Paren, additional duties, close paren. Chief Deputy District Clerk from Group 18-12 to 19-10. Deputy Chief District Clerk Court Administration from Group 16-7 to Group 18-3. That's it. Sorry, that was hard to read without going from one line to the next.
That was left out. Can we
Yeah.
assume that you were not intentionally leaving? a portion of that
Exactly.
out?
I was-
You wanted to include all that was written.
I was trying to read every line, but I kept losing myself from line to line.
All right. Okay, is that a correct assumption?
That is a correct assumption, absolutely.
Is there a second?
Motion made. Have a second.
I'll second, but we're getting so many of these changes. I'd like to see an audit and something on a sheet that shows what we started at the first of the year and what we're going to end up at.
And I understand this one's budget neutral, so you're moving people around, but it's not changing the total salaries.
It is, correct. No new money.
I would like to say, and the district clerk is correct, this is budget neutral at this point. But it is an example of what I would call salary creep, which we have seen across a few other departments. If you take an 11.6 and move to a 13.2, it's the same dollar amount. But when you replace that worker, if you start at an 11.1, that amount is 29,685. But now the person will start as a 13.1 at the least, and the amount is 32,767. At the minimum, if you hire a new person into that position, you will now be paying almost 3,100 extra. Same position, but now they've moved up 2 groups. The same is for all of those others. So there were 2 people who are moving from group 11 to group 13, and both of those, if they are rehired, if those positions become empty and they're rehired, there's a possible increase of $6,164. The 13.15 to 16.9 is the same dollar amount. But again, if you rehire a new person in there, that amount is now $5,232 higher because they've just gone up 3 pay groups. And so on down the line, 12.6 to the 13.4, the 18.12 to the 19.10. 16.7 to the 18.3. The end result of those changes, 6 changes, if those positions become empty at some point in time and were rehired, the increase in salaries is over $19,000, and that's just to replace them. So it's budget neutral at this point in time with those people at their particular steps. But if and when those positions become open, the new person will be going in at a much higher starting rate.
Pam, what's your total payroll? How much is 19,000 compared to that?
I'd have to ask the auditor to find out for sure. But what I can tell you is the last time these positions were analyzed by a company was when Glenn Guillory was the county judge. And they assessed the amounts based on file clerks, not on court clerks. When I asked, it was Ray and Associates, when I asked Miss Ray exactly what would cause one job to be worth more in my office, because I thought they were horribly low, she said, "Oh, you mean like someone who opens the mail or goes to the bank?"
Huh.
And of course, what I mean is someone who would sign a writ to have somebody put to death or to take life, liberty, the things that we do every day, putting people in jail or commanding the sheriff to go seize property. They were never properly assessed. And go ahead.
Pam, if you were going to replace a deputy district clerk, bookkeeper, child support group, you would not start them at 16.9.
I would. They're doing two jobs.
Would not.
No, they're doing two jobs,
No,
literally.
no. If that position became vacant,
Right.
what would you start that new position at?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Everything that I have written here, it is budget neutral. However, Commissioner Rousseau is correct. But again, these positions have never been properly assessed. We've added new job duties. We've added cross-training to make sure that nothing is dropped during.
I think what Commissioner Cheney is suggesting is, although they're technically now at 13.15,
Yes.
in the real world, if you were to replace them, you wouldn't try to replace them at 13.15 because you couldn't get,
Exactly.
you would already be naturally moving to 16.9 because that's what you need in a currently in the position.
Exactly.
So if there is some built-in salary creep, it's already baked in the cake, so to speak, because you've already
It is.
found that you need to pay that much to get the people you're using now.
Well, and that's the point, is that the pay should match what the jobs actually are. This is the
Yeah,
same. Oh, go
But
ahead.
But my concern is you have somebody in there that's been in there 5, 7, 10, 15 years, and they're at a pay group, and you're going to hire somebody straight off the street that's going to come in and do that job at their wages.
Well,
I mean,
again, the way that I see this is we're paying somebody to do the job.
well, I understand that, but the skill in the job.
Right.
Is what the step is.
Right, which requires hiring somebody that's pretty specialized. That particular job for the bookkeeper, they also are in charge of the attorney general matters, which is highly complicated when it comes to bookkeeping. You're talking about 66.5% of the allowed expenses that have to be charged back.
You wouldn't just take somebody off the street with no training.
No.
You would insist on somebody
No, it
with
would have
experience
to
in
be
another
somebody with
office.
Experience and, yeah.
But if you had for some, God forbid, some reason where you lost 3 employees at the same
Mhm.
time, and there was nobody in the area that had the skill level at the time you lost those employees, you would not bring them in at the same salary as you were paying the skilled employees, would you?
I would. What I have found in the past when I've had to advertise in the paper, I found if I advertise the salary, I get people working in the housekeeping and food service industries. Not that there's anything wrong with that. However, if I post actually the job duties, I get people who make 4 times, 5 times what I make in a year, which tells me that amongst many things, and again, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I know exactly what all these people have to do. And it changes every 2 years when the legislature meets. So the bottom line is the pay groups were low in the beginning, and we're just cleaning them up. I think these are all proper.
I would
These are-
like to withdraw my second. I think we need to look into this deeper than what we're doing right now.
I would also like to say, and I am not saying anything against the district clerk's office. They do amazingly complicated work, and I don't even know everything they do, but the little bit I know when they were sharing the treasurer, auditor, HR space after Harvey was just amazing, and they were doing it pretty much from one desk with 3 or 4 people. And I agree. I'm not too much in favor of salary surveys because depending on what questions you ask or how the surveys are worded, I'm not sure you're getting a very good response. And that Ray and Associates or whomever, I think, did their survey back in 2008, well over 10 years ago.
Well,
I'm just, and I'm not saying that the people there are not deserving of these. I'm not against that. I just want it to be noted that if you go from one group to another group, I don't think you can hire in a person at 16.9 yet. I don't know that the handbook allows that. You might be able to hire them in at 16.3. I didn't really look at that. But you're right. The salaries do not reflect the requirements of that position. I'm just pointing out that at this point, it might be budget neutral, but down the line, it isn't budget neutral.
Correct. I'd also like to point out that there's several departments who have done this, and I've used the exact same wording.
You're exactly right. There have
And
been.
I just feel that it's only fair to provide the same consideration across the board for all the departments.
And I'll second the motion in lieu of Commissioner Casterline.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. What was the motion?
The motion was
The
to.
the original motion that I read out. In other words, if the second has been withdrawn, Commissioner Rousseau is replacing it with her own second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline,
Nay.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Nay. 3 for, 2 against.
Thank you.
Item 20, budget line item transfers.
I move to approve budget line item transfers if there are any.
We have none at
Second.
this meeting.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Second was from
Commissioner Casterline.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item 21. I make a motion to approve account payable, payroll, and payroll liabilities.
I second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Russo.
I would like to point out that this payroll also includes the $1.1 million for the EVA building for the Little Bay Primary Building. That will be reimbursed. We have to pay them. We have to get it paid and then we'll request the reimbursement. And they have been turning around pretty quickly. So I just wanted y'all to know that this one was included in this.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Now's the time for any elected official or department head to bring up anything they'd like to.
Oh, I just want to say, I apologize for completely missing the workshop this morning on the employee health insurance issue. I have no excuse, whatever, just clean forgot.
Okay.
I would, after hearing a couple of motions here today, I would like to ask that the employee committee look at how we handle things like mid-budget increases in rates and or increases in steps, because Commissioner Russo, I think is right. We've been trying to get them where they can do more, and I think that's great, but our hiring of new people should not be forced to go in at the same wage as the people that have left. So I think that's something we really need to look at between now and the acceptance of the budget. I really do.
Commissioner Cheney, I think Commissioner Russo was correct that you couldn't hire somebody above a step 3 in the handbook.
I don't, Linda, is that the way it still reads?
That's correct.
Without Commissioner's Court approval? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, we don't have anything to go in closed session. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made. Second.
We do have a
Oh.
Action item.
Oh, do we? Sorry.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry.
I thought we did.
I forgot.
Huh?
We do have a motion. It's right there in front of. All right. Mr. Reed wants to talk to us about some real estate. We will
So
go.
this would be a good time if you didn't sign in to go ahead and sign in.
So we're going to talk about the golf course.
Or coming back. 10:40. No action.
Second,
No action.
No action.
I second it.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who's that?
I seconded.
Thank you. Well, I fell on my driveway.
No.
It looks so much better.